السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على الرسول الصادق الأمين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to a new live episode of our program, The Straight Path. It's a great honor and a great pleasure for me to be with all of you here this evening, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this next hour an hour of His remembrance, an hour of coming closer to Him through things that we say, and hopefully, more importantly, of course, that we implement throughout the week and also throughout our lives. Tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, we're talking about a very, very important subject, something that all of us deal with on a daily basis. We are talking about stress. Stress is really a fact of life for many of us, and we deal with it on a daily basis, whether it has something to do with an issue that we have, with mothers who have an issue with their children. People have stress at work, people have stress studying and doing all their homeworks and having all these exams coming up. Even stress with yourself, and other people have stress with their deen. All types of stress that we have in our lives that are affecting us on a daily basis, and we need to understand where they're coming from. We need to understand when is stress normal, when is stress just a normal part of every human's life, and when does it become dangerous, and how does it affect our health, how does it affect our psyche, how does it affect many other parts of the human being. And for that, inshallah, I'm joined in the studio by a psychological counselor, Brother Karim El-Aqeely. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'm very happy meeting you.
Allah, it's my pleasure to have you join us on the program.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure as well.
My dear brothers and sisters, on this program, inshallah, we're going to open up the lines beginning right now, so that you can give us a call, inshallah, and you can share your thoughts with us. So give us a call at 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. Again, the number is 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. Give us a call right now. Brother Karim is with us here for the next hour, inshallah. Any question that you have relating to the issue, anything related to stress or anything related to psychology in general, give us a call, inshallah, and he will be glad to help you and be glad to answer your questions and give you his advice, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. So, Brother Karim, if we begin to talk about stress, I think it's very important for us to define what stress is, and especially it's something that really affects every single person who's watching us.
Actually, we are talking about one of the most problems ever nowadays. Something that we are facing on daily basis from everyone. A lot of problems that we treat, a lot of problems of people around us at work, at family, in our relations. Everyone is stressed nowadays. If he is not stressed due to what he has in his life, but he's stressed for what we are already having in our countries, for example. So the situation in home started to lead everyone to stress. And one of the most funny things that I was reading something 2 days ago, it was about the American Institution of Stress. They said that about from 70% to 90% from the people who go to the primary care physicians, which is the PCP, they are complaining from stress.
Really?
From 70 to 90%, It's a very huge number, and actually I cannot deny that we have the same percent here in Egypt. So it started to be what we can call it our life problem nowadays, that everyone is stressed. Actually, stress is not we cannot call it a disease in itself, but it leads us to a lot of diseases. First of all, let's define stress. What is stress? Stress is the organism's total response to the environmental situation and environmental pressure and demands.
That is a lot of big words for
me
and for many of the viewers. You need to simplify it for us a bit.
This is the main, what we can call it, the main medical definition to stress. But at the end of the day, it's your reaction, or what we can call it, your reaction that came out due to pressure that you have in your life, due to the situation that you cannot bear in your life. So it makes you from a normal person who has a normal respond to that, to someone who is stressed. So he's giving abnormal reaction towards what he has.
So if someone, for example, has a sleeping disorder, it could be caused by stress.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to go through some stuff that make people worry, but we have to, like the results of a stress. I can say that most of the heart diseases started with stress. Most of the cancers started with stress. Most of the digestion problems, you know, that chronic stress can lead you to digestion problems, to sleep problems, to what else? To sleep problems, as you said. A very huge amount of people cannot sleep at night because actually I did nothing in my day, but I cannot sleep. This is the main complaint that we always have. I can say 90% of people cannot sleep actually. So it's due to stress. You have a stress, so you cannot sleep. So it can lead you to a lot of big problems in your life, especially if it was chronic, that you are suffering from stress long time ago. And this is another problem that I want to talk about, Osama, that we are all having stress long time ago and we don't talk. We don't face our problems.
Well, okay, before, I want to talk about some of the symptoms also that people you know, face, and that shows that you are a stressed person. But before we talk about that, what's the role of the environment in this? I mean, are we more stressed today than people used to be 100 years ago? And if so, does the environment have something to do with that? Maybe do we have a really fast-paced life?
Look, stress is not something that we cannot give it a general measurements. We cannot saying that anything that gives you stress, or as a result you can be stressed from it, it can make me stressed as well. It's always different from person to another. So, for example, and this is a very popular example, that when you have your car, for example, and you have your wife beside you, if you are well trained on being in our Arabian roads, actually, which is very crowded, and you have a lot of passing through cars and this moves and that stuff, for you it's not stress, right?
It's just normal part of life.
Normal, something normal that you do it on your daily basis. But your wife started to be, oh, please take care, I don't want to, there is a car beside you, no, look. And she started, maybe she will make you stressed, by the way, we cannot deny that part. She will make you stressed from her stress. So sometimes what you feel normal is for other people is not normal. For example, if you came back to your home and you found that your mom didn't finish your dinner, for example. For you, sometimes maybe it's not a problem for some people, but for your mother, it can be a very big problem that I didn't prepare the dinner for my son. It's a huge problem, and you look at her, what the problem in that? Okay, yeah, pass by it. So stress is something that we cannot give it a specific measurement, but it is related to some points actually. The first important point, which is the supported environment. This is the first thing that we look for the person. If you are suffering from stress, what's the environment that you are surrounded by? Do you have a very close friends that you always talk to? Do you have people who supports you in your life? Your mother, dad is supporting you, your wife is supporting you, or you are lonely most of the time? This will reflect on your stress, in your responding to stress. Some people, if I don't have anyone beside me, most probably I'll be easily affected by or suffering from stress. On the other hand, how much you are controlling yourself? Do you have this huge control on yourself? And these questions for the people, I want everyone to ask himself this question, because as I said, sometimes we have problems, we have stress problems, but we don't talk about it. So ask yourself this problem. About this
we don't talk about these stress problems to other people, and we don't even talk to them, talk to ourselves about them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the bigger problem. I mean, it's one thing to let your stress out and tell someone else that you're stressed,
Yes.
It's a whole different thing to at least admit it to yourself,
Yes.
so that you can begin solving the situation.
This was the third point. How much you are frank with yourself. You worked as a psychological counselor before?
No, I didn't. I just live a normal life, and I'm stressed just like everybody else.
Yes. So how much you are frank with yourself?
Mm.
Do you we can consider you from the people who deny that you have stress? Because most of people like this. When you see someone, he's not good, you start to ask him, "Are you okay?"
Mm.
Yes, I'm okay. Oh.
The reason for that, for many people, it's because it's kind of a sign of weakness for you to say I'm stressed. Because basically, if you're saying I'm stressed, what you're saying is that there are too many things in my life and I really can't handle them.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm stressed and I'm weak because I can't handle them, and I should be able to handle them.
I must keep it on side me, because if people started to see weakness, and this is the next stage, if people started to see weakness, they start to attack me because I'm weak. These are what we call it the negative self-talk. And by the way, this is from the causes of stress. That's why we have stress. That you always have a negative self-talk. You talk to yourself negatively. You are getting yourself down. And you started to talk about assumptions. And assumptions doesn't exist. We don't have something called assumption. If you are talking about, for example, let's make it a situational thing. If you are on a beach or in a restaurant in an open place, and you started to have some people beside you, they are a group of friends, and they started to look at you, then to look to each other and started to laugh. What you will feel? You start to feel shy. If this takes more time, you can go stressed. If you are that person who can get easily stressed by feeling shy. Why? Because you started to assume that those people are laughing on you. While after a while, and that happened for me one day, by the way, I was drinking a cup of coffee, and after a while something happened, and the coffee fell on my clothes. So someone beside me started to look at me and to look for the coffee on my clothes and look at me and smile, you know, the sneaky smile. What did this? I started to feel that inside me. That happened a long time ago, about 5 years. I started to say, oh, I'm shy, and I started to feel that I'm giving some reaction that is uncomfortable. I don't feel happy. Suddenly I decided, it was a strange decision. I asked him, are you laughing at me? Suddenly he looked at me and he said, no, I just smiled because I remembered something, and I was not even seeing you. On that moment I started to get a thought that, oh, some people, they are really don't care to think about others, and they don't want to think about others. I'm not talking negatively, they don't think about others. No, they have their own problem, their own life that took their mind. They are not caring about what happened to you to laugh at it. What I had, what was, how we can call it, it's assumption. Only assumption. Sorry. Assumptions doesn't work. So what we said is how he controls himself, how he can control his reactions, and the second thing, or the third thing, it was how I am much frank with myself, how I can face myself with my problems. The fourth thing that we have also, his knowledge, his preparation towards the situation. Can we consider that the person that is dealing with that stress had different experiences that led him to this situation, maybe in the past? Maybe some people faced stress in their past while they were children, and they started to grow up with it, and after a while they started to feel some problems that has no reason. So when they visit us and we start to talk with them, the obvious view, he has no problem. But when we start to go back with his timeline, going back to his past, we started to see that he was a stressed child one day. So he's still surviving and suffering from the main problem in his when he become older.
What are some of the symptoms that, if you can just give me 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like, what are some of the symptoms that if I have, I know that I'm a person who is suffering from stress? or
Actually,
at least that I'm at risk.
yeah. Actually, we have different categories of symptoms and different ways that symptoms go through. First of all, we have a cognitive symptoms, which is related to how he thinks, what's his perspective about things. Can we consider him a pessimistic guy? He's always looking for stuff from pessimistic perspective. How he relate things together. If he has a problem from thinking a lot, and this is, by the way, it started to be a major problem for stress. Everyone is thinking a lot, and I cannot stop my mind. And I wonder how people start to forget who is controlling who. People must know that you are controlling your mind, but your mind is not controlling you. So you must get the lead to yourself on your mind back. So thinking must be a decision. Can you imagine if I asked you, for example, Osama, can you stop thinking for 2 minutes? Stop thinking.
That would be difficult.
Really difficult, right? And this is the always answer that we face. But thinking must be a decision. I can think whenever I want to think. And I don't think whenever I don't want to think. Because we are not led by mind. Mind is our hard disk that has data. We use it whenever we want, and we don't use it whenever we want. But especially Muslims, we are dealing with the environment with our hearts. This is the core of belief. You don't have a belief in your mind, or the core of the belief is not in your mind, it's in your heart. That's why God said, أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. He didn't say, أَمْ عَلَى عُقُولٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. He didn't say, on the minds the lockers were. No, on your hearts. So this is for us a cognitive symptoms. The second category is what we call it the physical symptoms. Can we have physical symptoms? Definitely. Especially if the guy started to be a public speaker, for example. He can have a lot of stress symptoms while this moment. You are talking to 10,000 people. He started to have sweat, to have shaving in his voice. This is for public speaking, for example. And in normal life, he has some pains in some places. He has a chest pain.
Shortness of breath.
Yeah, he has some problem in his breath. This is all what we can call it.
How about something that's very popular?
Yeah.
Someone's hair starts to
get bigger.
to turn gray.
Yeah. To
turn gray.
Yeah.
If someone's hair starts to turn gray, you know, early, if that person maybe is in their 20s or in their 30s, they say your hair is turning gray because you're stressed. Is that true, or is that something else?
No. Look, the main thing for this is more genetic. It's not more into psychological part. But the psychological problems can drive it to be faster. Can drive it to be for example, if I'm going to have this on the age of 40s, I can have it at 35. Can have at 36. It can reflect, because the psychological driver is the main driver of everything. By psychology, by the way you deal with yourself, you are leading your body. You are leading every part of you. By the way, from the physical symptoms, which is very popular as well, crying without reason. Some people started to feel tears inside their eyes, or when you look deeply in their eyes, you find that it's a teary eye. But he doesn't want to tear. He doesn't want to he doesn't want to cry. When you start to talk with him, you will start to feel that this person is stressed. Most popular. This is the second symptom or category. The third category is the emotional symptom. We are talking about some person who is moody. He is sometimes he's happy and suddenly he's not happy. If he is generally, he is unhappy most of the time. I don't know, and he doesn't know why. I don't know. I'm not happy with what is happening. Can he control his anger, or his anger is more than the situation? Because there is a normal anger that can be expected, and there is abnormal anger that is unexpected. The situation doesn't deserve all this anger. So by experience, it's easy to know that this person is really stressed from another thing. And it happens on a daily basis. You ask your mother, for example, or your wife, you find that her response is greater than the situation. So you ask her, what happened in the morning? Oh, I didn't tell you what happened with our neighbors. They did blah, blah, blah. So the reaction was not for what happened now, was for the total thing that happens. The last symptom and the last category that we have, which is the behavioral symptom, and it's very easily to be shown to us, which is this person is isolated. He's alone most of the time. This person having some nervous reactions like biting nails or pacing in words. He's speaking very fast. He's sleeping too long. 12 hours. I know people who sleep 12 hours. Obviously he's stressed. Or on the opposite side, he's not sleeping at all. Eating can be a symptom, a behavioral symptom for stress. People eating a lot with no reason.
Overeating or under-eating also.
Yeah, both are a reason for a behavioral symptom for stress. You are eating a lot or you are not eating at all. Some wrong and forbidden behaviors like alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, all these reasons, it started with I was stressed, I met a friend, he took me to release out of this, so he started to give me something external to make me better. So I started to take drugs, I started to smoke cigarettes, I started to take alcohol.
SubhanAllah, this is a problem that affects really every single part of who we are. You know, they said there are 4 parts to it. It affects exactly who we are. We'll take a short break, inshallah, and then, my dear brothers and sisters, when we come back, we've addressed the problem so far. But when we come back, inshallah, we're going to talk more about the solutions. And we're going to take some of the questions that you sent us through Facebook, and we're going to ask Brother Karim to answer them for us. We'd also love for you to join us on our phone lines shortly after a break, inshallah.
My world is bright. Islam is my sight.
Islam is a comprehensive way of life. It deals with everything. The Prophet ﷺ wanted to empower people, and he wanted them to feel the responsibility, not just to rely on the state. The companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum, and in particular Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, in the beginning they were not pleased and they were not proud to become the Khalifa. These days we see the candidates running to become the Amir. Islamic State has to provide all inhabitants with the basic needs. It has to fulfill their basic needs. So the main foundations of the Islamic State is to establish justice.
اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وسنة نبيك وعبادك الموحدين.
The Prophet Muhammad taught me how to be kind. The Prophet ﷺ taught me the importance of seeking knowledge.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to respect and be kind to my parents.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to make da'wah for Muslims and non-Muslims.
The Prophet ﷺ taught me how to be kind to my parents.
Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught me how to have mercy for mankind.
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me that I do to others what I wish done to myself.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught me how to respect women.
اللهم انصر دينك وكتابك وسنة نبيك وعبادك الموحدين.
Now my world is bright.
محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم صلى الله على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم.
My world is bright. is my sight.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome back to our program, The Straight Path. We are with you, inshallah, for at least the next half an hour live. So feel free, inshallah, to give us a call at 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. The number is 002-0238-555, 248 or 249. And ask us any questions relating to tonight's topic. We're talking about how we should deal with stress as Muslims. And we're joined in the studio once again by Brother Karim El-Aqeely, who's a psychological counselor, so that we can continue our discussion. Brother Karim, what are we talking about when we talk about the reactions? There are some normal reactions that we have to stress, and there are some other reactions that are really overboard.
Yes. Actually, I want to insist or to highlight that the symptoms that I said in the last thing is a general symptoms. It can be caused by stress or some other psychological problems. That's why you have, when you see these symptoms, you have to start to know that maybe I have a stress, maybe I have another thing. So I must visit or deal with some person who is aware about the topic. But about the normal reactions, we already have one of the best, one of the most popular psychologists, which is some psychologist called Connie Lillis. Connie Lillis is a very famous psychologist. He has sense of humor. So when she was talking about the reactions towards the stress, she used to talk about or to give them nicknames. So it put them in 3 categories. The first category, they call them the foot accelerator. The foot accelerator, because the whole example is talking about the driver. So your mind and your life is, you are the driver of them. So there is a foot accelerator, there is a foot on brake, foot breaker, and there is who has both. His foot on accelerator, on the brake. This is relating to the main concept of psychology, which is the reaction of a stress, which is F and F response, which call fight or flight response. Fight or flight response is the normal response for any person that depends on your ability to react with the stress. So, for example, and that's happened for me, by the way. I was driving my car, and suddenly I faced a person. I think I was not focusing well, so I started to have my car
swerve a bit.
On him, and it was very at the deep of the night. It was at midnight, and I was driving, and I didn't see him. Really, I didn't mean it. Suddenly, I found him that he became faster than me, and he started to close the road on me, and he came out of his car. In the beginning, I said to myself, I don't care. What he wants to do, he will do it. I don't care about it. But actually, when he came out of the car, I started to regret this decision, actually. He was very... very huge, actually.
You wanted the flight route.
Yeah. I was only thinking about the fight part. I don't care about him. I will fight. But when he came out of the car, I started to come back to my mind. Actually, I need to think.
Did you hit reverse on your car?
No, actually, I came out. I didn't see this in the beginning. If I saw it, I would do so, but I didn't see it. So I came out of the car, and he came out as well. And I saw this huge bodybuilding guy. And suddenly I found myself, I'm looking at his eyes and saying with very huge confidence, you are coming to fight with me, and I'm going to fight you here, alone. And nobody is going to prevent this. Can you think again, please, before doing this? The guy started to laugh, and he went out of the situation. But what we can get, he didn't do anything. This is very important.
Well, I'm glad that's why you're here today.
So what we want to get out, that the first thing that pumped it up to my mind was, I will fight, because I don't care, because I'm strong. But when I started to see his ability, so I started to have another thought, which is the flight. I need to fly, I need to escape from this. But there is a symptom that people, psychologists, have started to find after a while from this method, that some people has both fight and flight at the same time. So what will happen if I have the both ideas in my mind, that I want to fight and I want to fly?
That's quite weird. How can you have both ideas at the same time? Because it's really one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. They are totally opposite. So what the mind is doing, that as we know, when you give orders to mind, he cannot respond except with what you gave him. So you give him a mutual order. Two order at the same time, and they are opposite. So the mind reacting by freezing. It doesn't do anything. That's why sometimes when you think to say something and to say another thing, for example, I will start my speech with 1, 2, 3. No, I will start it with 1, 2, 3. And you start think about them together.
You get a mental block.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't think about anything, and you started that. You have the camera in front of you, and you don't have anything to say. It was the last stage, which is freezing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have it when we cross the road and we find a car. It's coming towards us. What will happen? To run this way or that way, to go, continue, or coming back. So what you find? That you are stopped.
You're stopped in the middle of the road.
Exactly. This is the normal reaction of human beings. Most of the people will fight or flight or freeze. This is the normal reaction. But according to these 3 parts, we have to deal. Why? Because according to these parts, we can understand the person, how he's receiving things. Right? So according to these perspective, to his perspective, we can know which kind of problem that he has. This is simply the main way of people, how they react towards stuff.
That's a great point. Jazakallah khairan. Actually, Brother Karim, we're introducing a new segment in this program, inshallah, that we're going to have every week, and we're doing it for the first time tonight. You're joining us. We tried to make it relevant to the topic that we're talking about. We're calling it Islam and the Social Media, where we basically take some quotes from some famous Muslims that are related to the topic that we're talking about, and we try to share them and hopefully learn something from them as well. So let's go ahead, inshallah. Let's try this out for the first time, inshallah. Whenever the brothers are ready, I'll see the first comment on the screen, and then I'll go ahead and start reading it, inshallah. Go ahead, inshallah. The first comment is by Brother Ahmed Bukhatir, and all of you know Brother Ahmed Bukhatir. He is he's one of the famous nasheed artists. He says, happiness comes and goes, as if it's saying sweets become tasteless for someone who's just eating honey. Be patient, good things are yet to come. The next comment that we have, inshallah, when it's ready. Looks like this comment is taking a little bit longer than expected. Okay, second comment, inshallah, is by Sheikh Walid Basyuni. This is something that he posted on Facebook. He says, if 5 seconds of smile can make a photograph more beautiful, then just imagine if you keep always smiling, how beautiful your life will be. Very interesting statement, mashallah. This is a statement by Sheikh Walid Basyuni that he posted on his Facebook page this week. The next statement is by Mufti Ismail Mink, and he says, be prepared to adjust the dreams you have for your children, because as they grow older, their choices rewrite those dreams. Very, very interesting. I think this is great advice for a lot of parents. And the next one is by Sister Yasmin Mujahid. She says, loss is the returning of what never actually belonged to us in the first place. Loss is the returning of what never actually belonged to us in the first place. And Sheikh Muhammad al-Sharif wrote on Facebook this week, he said, happiness doesn't come from getting something you don't have, rather from recognizing and thanking Allah for what you do have. Alhamdulillah. Very interesting statement. And the last one is by our dear Sheikh Mu'tasim al-Hamidi, who says, each moment in your life is either for you or against you. Take it seriously. That is great advice. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh Mu'tasim, for that. What do you think in general about these
Yeah, the idea is amazing. This is must be said. But I started, you know, by these quotes, I started to remember a lot of things. For example, what really taught me, the quote of Mufti Ismail. It's very, can you say it again?
The one about children, right?
Yes.
Okay, he says, be prepared to adjust the dreams you have for your children,
Yes.
because as they grow older, their choices rewrite those dreams.
According to this say, I remembered what Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said when he said, don't teach your children on your behavior, because they will be for another,
for a generation different than your generation.
Your generation, exactly. This is related to the topic that we are talking about, that we started to give our children the stress by transferring it without any effort from them. They didn't try even to have something on life, in their life, to feel stress. But at the end of the day, you can find in this generation, they are only 10 or 12 years, and when you talk to him about, oh, do you feel happy? You can find a response from, he is a child, literally a child. You can find a response that says, who is happy in this life?
Really?
What?
So are we talking about something called, I would call it inherited stress? Is there such a thing?
Yeah, they started to transfer that stress to their children by picturing the stress.
Like a gloomy picture of life.
Exactly.
In general.
So I started to put you in the situation without living it. And this is totally pure psychology. I can make you see the story when I tell it to you in a very focused way, in a very special way. But this is for good stories.
Yeah.
But when you started to do this in opposite way with your children, you started to tell them the stories of bad things and how life is crucial, and you start to transfer your own perspective that you got from your own life and your own experience to your child. And he didn't see something yet. And one of the funniest things that I remember when I saw a comment on Facebook for a girl, she is about 10 years old or 13 years old, and she writes a status that says, oh, nobody can find love these days. You know, I was thinking about it, nobody can find love. She's too young to say so.
Yeah.
But what happened is, her parents, her trusted sources, people around her, her small society, her small club, the media started to transfer for those children, this generation, that how life is so difficult. So they started to be stressed by their own without any effort.
SubhanAllah. We're kind of coming towards the end of the episode, so I want to focus a bit on solutions.
Yes.
We don't want to overstress people by telling them how stressed they are and how stressed we are, and not offering, leaving them without solutions. Also, feel free, inshallah, give us a call 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, and share with us, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, your thoughts, and also ask us your questions in the next few minutes. Let me take a question from a sister who sent us a message on Facebook, and through that maybe we'll get to some of the solutions to the problems. She says, Assalamu alaikum, this is Sister Safia. I fear that I'm becoming addicted to work, and maybe I'm becoming a workaholic. I do not know how to enjoy free moments and invent something new that I can do. What do I do about it?
Okay. This is a very good point, directly to the point that we want. Actually, we have two causes of stress that causes stress. We have something called external causes, and we have something called internal causes. The main part is the internal one, but the external one is the tool that we can pop up with it, the internal stuff that we have inside. So one of the most important in the external causes is being busy all the time. Why? Because being busy means that you are not balanced. Being busy, it means that you are pressured by a lot of work, so you are going to be workaholic, as you say. So you are stressed. What we can say, this is not analysis, a direct analysis to her, but in general, we can start to feel that you are stressed of what is you have outside your work. So you're trying to escape from all of this to go to your work. So you start to be workaholic, because you are getting your satisfaction from work, leaving the other stuff of life. So you're not balanced. Maybe it's not the main girl that she has. Maybe she doesn't have this problem, but it's a symptom for me to say so. Why? It's a behavioral symptom. But what makes the external causes important, that what it gets me from inside, the internal problems, the internal causes. The most internal cause is how you see yourself, your self-esteem. What's the perception that you have towards yourself? Do you see yourself someone as important as God said? Are you really related to your belief about being important as a human being? This is the first cause. The second cause, by the way, through these causes we are going to get the answers, the solution, because I have to know the cause to know the solution. So the second thing, are you from the person who are seeking perfection? This is a very major problem nowadays. Everyone is seeking to be perfect, to do the things 100%. Wait a minute. The only thing that must happen by 100% is God, and what God do for us, what God does for us. This is the only thing that can be 100% right. Any other person will never be 100%, will never. I'm saying this not to make people demotivated, but you are human. Okay?
Let's take this phone call from Brother Ahmed from Egypt. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, Brother Ahmed, go ahead.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Go ahead, Brother Ahmed.
Mr. Karim.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. How are you, sir?
I'm great. What about you?
I'm fine, thank you. But I'd like to say to you that I was one of the students at one of the call center companies in Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure whether you remember me or not, but I had the honor of working with you before.
Sorry, I cannot hear it well.
You say that again, Ahmed?
I was one of your students before. You were one of my trainers.
Ah, assalamu alaikum. How are you, Ahmed?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Yeah, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. Do you have a comment to add or a question that you'd like to ask, Brother Karim?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
As a student, I said before, some kind which is called motivational anxiety. I mean, it's a sense of being worried or anxious, which creates motivation. And this is not something which is negative, it's positive.
So you're talking kind of about some sort of a positive stress, that stress can sometimes be positive.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Jazakallah khair. We'll answer you, inshallah. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it says motivational anxiety or motivational stress. Something, you know, we were talking about that a little before the episode.
Yeah,
and you said
exactly.
not all types of stress are negative. There could actually be positive stress. So we can answer them quickly and then talk about some of the solutions, especially the Islamic solutions to stress.
At the same time, it's related to what we are saying. That one of the problems that when you have stress, it's all about the perspective. And this was the first point that I said. So whatever you have from stress, you can make it positive. No, nothing called that it is always negative. Everything negative can be changed to be positive. So I can get the fear that I had from talking in front of others is a way to motivate me. And by the way, that make me remember one of my doctors who taught me one day. It wasn't the first time for me to give a lecture in the university. And there were about 3,000 people who attend in front of me, and it was the first time for me to see this amount of people in front of me. And I know well what I'm saying and what I will discuss. It was about leadership, I think. And I was really afraid. I can confess, and I don't feel shame to confess. I was really afraid. And I will never forget ever the word that he told me. He looked at my eyes and he said, you have all the knowledge to stand in that place. But what you have to know is, it's not something to make you afraid, but it's an opportunity to show people how good you are. I will never ever forget this word, ever. It changed my life. I started to feel it's an opportunity to make people, to be beneficial to people, to teach people. So I started to see numbers which was negative and was getting me down to a very important thing. That numbers is very important to spread the word, to spread Islam, to spread science, to spread everything. So the stress that I used to have, it started to be my positive point. And this is the main thing, how you can drive anything negative to positive.
Excellent point. Salah.
Yeah.
Prayer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Muslims pray 5 times a day. Do you think one of the reasons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us and commanded us to pray 5 times a day, this is how I think of it, correct me if I'm wrong, it could be one of the reasons for us to unload any stress that we have in our lives for those few minutes and really unload it and technically forget about it and let go of it after each salah.
Actually, salah is one of the most important things that God gave to us, but there is a condition for this situation, because I got also on the other hand a lot of people who says to me, Karim, I always go to pray to be better, but not always I feel better. And some people say, I don't feel better, I just pray because I have to pray. I suddenly say, this is the problem. As long as you are praying because you have to pray, so don't wait the result of releasing your stress. The prayer that can release your stress is the prayer that you go deeply inside it, that you are really praying with your heart.
So you have khushu' in your salah.
Exactly.
That would be the salah that will remove the stress that you have in your daily life.
And that's what meant with the hadith of the Prophet. Release us with it, not from it, right? Yeah, Bilal. Because in your salah, you can release everything you have, because you are with the best medicine ever, which is the words of God, standing in front of God. What do you need else? You don't need any specialist. You are with the best ever. But you have to be inside the salah to have the result of it. Okay? But again, I want to go through what we can call it, how we can grab all this stuff together.
Yes, inshallah, quickly, because we have about a minute left.
Okay, I know. What we need to do is, first of all, we have to collect all the problems, and we can collect it in two points, actually. All the word that I said is a result for 2 points. The first is not forgetting the past, having the past with us. The second thing, being afraid of the future. This is these 2 points are the reason.
So worrying about what happened before,
yes,
and being scared and worried about what will happen in the future.
In the future. So, due to these 2 points, I can have the solution, which is I must let go. This is the simple solution. You must let go, for everything is happening. You don't have to keep it inside you, because it's already past, and this is a simple logic. If I had a fight with you now, after 5 minutes, do I have a fight with you?
No, it's the past.
Okay, it's a past, and it will not happen again. It didn't come back, right? So it's over. It's over. So it must be over in everything. The second thing is, you have to learn how to love. And this is your tool to be a good Muslim who has no psychological problems. You have to learn how to love. And how I must love. You have to love without conditions. This is simply love. Whenever you ask someone you love for, and he started to give you reasons, you have to doubt his love. Because love must be unconditional. I love you because I love you. Okay?
That's really a great way to end on this great note of love. I hope, inshallah, you can join us on future episodes. I personally learned a lot, and I'm sure brothers and sisters have learned a lot also from tonight's episode. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this episode was of benefit. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to deal with stress from an Islamic perspective, and to always find relief in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
After those long dark nights, now my world is bright. Islam is my sight. Now I found the light. After those long dark nights, now my world is bright. Islam is my sight. Now my world is bright. Islam